This is a debate on motion 24260 in the name of Miles Briggs on a motion of no confidence. Could I call on Ruth Davidson to speak to and to move the motion?
Thank you, Presiding Officer. 3 years ago, 2 women came forward with allegations of... I move the motion in Miles Briggs' name.
Thank you. And can I now call on Patrick Harvey? Patrick Harvey.
Thank you, Presiding Officer. The Scottish Greens supported the creation of the Committee on the Government's Handling of Harassment Complaints, and we wanted to see it focus on that important issue, to understand the challenges, identify what went wrong, and ensure that improvements are made for the future. Because addressing the failings, both real and perceived, in that process is vital for giving people who wish to complain about inappropriate behaviour the confidence to do so and the reassurance that they'll be treated with respect. But what should have been an inquiry strictly focused on that issue of how allegations are handled was allowed to become nothing more than shabby political theatre. In my view, there are members who should have been focused on the interests of complainants in the past and in the future, but who have clearly been more obsessed with the idea of winning a political scalp. The effect of this has been to set back the objectives that we should all share. As Emma Rich of Engender has said, one of the things women are most attuned to when making complaints is the prospect of losing control over the process. What has happened with the Salmond inquiry has magnified this, that you could find yourself at the centre of a national scandal where people feel free to impugn your motives, and everything you want to talk about becomes about party politics or the Constitution. Many others have expressed similar concerns. Despite these concerns, toward the end of last year, when Parliament was asked to vote on the need for legal advice to be provided to the committee, the Scottish Greens backed that position. We were right to do so. And if John Swinney had dug in his heels and continued to refuse, his position would have been untenable. Equally untenable is the position of those who demanded the First Minister's resignation before even hearing her evidence, and those who last week described the published legal advice as damning and a crushing blow, but now say that it's insufficient to draw conclusions. The Conservatives in particular have allowed a committee inquiry, which should be focused on serious matters, to descend to political farce. And why? I think it's because they have nothing else to offer the people of Scotland, no positive vision of our country's future. All they have is a desperate attempt to weave conspiracy theories. In appearing to take as unquestionable truth every word that came from the lips of Alex Salmond, they've ended up sounding exactly the same as the Stuanon cultists of Mr. Salmond's own fan base. Both the former First Minister's behaviour and the government's attitude throughout this inquiry have played a large part in this debacle. But those using conspiracy theories to attack their opponents or promoting delusional ideas of Scotland being some kind of corrupt, failed state really need to ask themselves how on earth they ever expect to lift Scottish politics up from this low point they have brought us to. Presiding Officer, when the committee finally produces its long overdue report, I will be looking only at the issues of substance, which address the question of why complainants raising allegations of harassment were failed and how we can ensure that this never happens again. I sincerely hope that the committee chooses, even at this late stage, to focus on that. The shallow game of winning political scalps should not be anyone's priority, and the Greens will have no part in it.
Thank you. That concludes our debate on the motion of no confidence. The vote on this matter will be taken at decision time, which is 8 o'clock this evening.